Welcome to the 7th session, which is on leadership and team working. The success of every project depends on good leadership and teamwork. So in this session, we want to look at some of those issues, or leadership or teamwork issues that affect the success of a project. So what are the learning outcomes? You should be able to discuss the importance of people factors in projects, explain the role of an effective project leader in an IT project, identify and explain the key factors in creating positive teamwork, discuss some ethical and cultural issues relevant to projects. People make a big difference. According to a report by the Standish Group, 30% of project success may be attributable to user involvement and executive support. If you want to do a project and you don't have the support of your bosses or your managers or leaders, then it's unlikely that project will succeed. Now, we had looked at these factors before in one of the earlier sessions. We repeat the table here as a reminder for you to understand those factors which influence a project failure. And we categorize this again into 3: technical, human, and process failure. Basically, what we want to look at in this session is a human failure factor, or the ones that are associated with human beings, because leadership is about human beings, about teamwork. A team is more than simply a group of individuals. When you have a project team, it means that you have a shared goal, a commitment to each other within the project, and a willingness to learn. These are all values that the individuals have to adopt if the team is going to work successfully. Teams also need skills. Good teamwork needs expertise in the subject at hand. Knowing how to work as a team, planning, conduct of good meetings, ability to manage logistics and details, gathering of useful data, effective analysis of the data, and communication of the results and implementation of changes. How do teams function within an organizational context? Mainly, project teams would have to work within an organization. A team could be formed with people from one or more departments and from one or more divisions. It could even be across more than one organization. When teams are across more than one organization, developing good team working is a challenge or becomes more challenging. Project boards and steering committees. Every project would have a board or a steering committee. The project team reports to the project board or a steering committee. The project board or steering committee will consist of senior management. They would normally review the business benefits and control the funding. They are responsible ultimately for go or no-go decisions. They are also responsible for ensuring the project governance. To manage any project, there are three key roles that may be held by one or more people: the project champion, the project leader, or project manager. These 3 key roles can be held by one or more people. Then, of course, there are specialist roles within any project. For any project, you may need a few specialists. So for project scoping, you may need a business analyst, a requirement analyst, a market researcher, and then report writers. For development, you may need systems architects, web designers, database designers, programmers, software testers. For handover, you may need to use writers as people who write your user guides and people who provide technical support. These are all specialist roles that are linked to any project. How do you bring the project team together? What factors affect who is assigned to a project team? We can consider the following factors: organizational culture, the business sector in which you are operating, the leadership style, the timelines that are required, the desired secondary outcomes, regulation compliance demands, available resources, and anticipated team dynamics. What is organizational culture? The way we do things around here. We don't do things this way. Culture may manifest itself in many ways. For example, in language, use of symbols, ceremonies, customs, methods of problem solving, use of tools or technology, design of work settings. Every organization has its culture. Business sector. We have to consider how the project teams will be formed for the particular business sector. In higher education, that will be different than for in an IT consultancy firm, or a major construction project, or in a small software development enterprise. These are different business sectors, and the way you form the project teams here will be different. What about leadership style? How does it affect you? Well, there are different leadership styles. There are authoritarian styles, there are participative ones, and then there are what? Delegative ones. Now, what does each of these stand for? How do an authoritarian leader behave? How does a participative leader behave? How does a delegative leader, how do they behave? Timelines. These can be inelastic or elastic. What do this mean? It's also probably worth considering whether time pressured. Some staff work well under pressure and others don't. How do secondary outcomes affect you? There may be some other goals for this project. For example, staff training, customer relationship, pave the way for bigger contracts. Regulations, how do they affect you? Are you going to comply with regulations? No. And it could be a strong determining factor in team selection, how you select the team. Many organizations and project management methods have pre-assigned role descriptions. For example, there might exist a quality manager or a testing manager. Resource availability, how does that affect the forming of a team? Which staff have the required skills? Are the staff available to work on this project? You may have some staff who is available, who have certain skills but may not be available for this particular project. How does team dynamics influence the work? You have to be careful about the temperament of the individuals working in a team, because there can be clashes. There can be differences in personal working styles. As an example, there's a project that the University of Ghana, the department, has been involved in, where we are implementing access control for the highways. Now, the people on the team, some of them prefer to work late at night, others prefer to work early in the morning. So it's very, very difficult to get all these team members together on the project site at the same time. Now, there are a number of team rules that can be identified. Resources investigators, what do you think they do? Coordinators, team workers, monitors or evaluators, shapers, completer finishers, planters or implementers. These are all roles that may be identified within a team. Now, project teams will have to build some form of relationship with the customers. So, would normally have a customer relationships manager. The customers in the project would demand meeting, would like to meet with the project team, So in this case, what impact does the agile development methods have on customer involvement? So having mentioned customer relationship management, what factors do you consider? So, do the people know and respect each other? The project leaders, the sponsors, software developers, system integrators. How well do they know each other? How well do they respect each other? Do they like each other? Do they acknowledge each other and communicate with one another well? Have the internal reporting structures changed on either side of the project teams? Has the quality control system changed on either side? Has everyone got the latest version of the order forms, sign-off forms, or logos, etc.? Are all the contact addresses the same as the last time? Do you have a history to meeting attendance with your customers? Who is likely to be there? Who is likely to change times or location and why? Which business pressures should you factor into project planning, different accounting periods, sales conferences, etc.? So in doing your customer relationship management, these are a number of things you need to do or consider, because on your side and your customer side, there are various things that can happen. Things can change. How do you communicate projects, or how does communication take place within projects? Their formal project communication is done by means of meetings and reports. But of course, there are informal means of communicating as well. So meetings can take the form of coaching sessions, work group meetings, review meetings. There may be a few cultural differences in meetings. So there could be a meeting that is there to present decisions as against one in which you want to reach a decision. Meetings in which you want to find an approach to a conflict, approach to politeness and etiquette, issues of gender, equality of women, meaning of gestures, at meetings. Written reports. Some reports will be mandatory. Others are at the discretion of the manager. How do you collect the data for the report? Can this be done online forms viewable by all project teams? Are the forms submitted by email? Or the project manager discussion and a form filling? Is that how you're going to go about it? What ethics affects your work as a team? There are human interaction factors. There are payment factors, bonuses, rules over hospitality. Then there are issues of intellectual property rights. Who owns that work? Is it the company or is it you? To work effectively as a team requires good communication, support, and ability to handle conflict expertly. There are a number of dimensions to communication. When you communicate, is it one of power or equality? When you talk to someone, are you talking to that person from the position of authority or as an equal? Is it an achieved status or an ascribed status? Individualism or collectivism? Are you communicating specific things or in a diffuse manner? Are you thinking about universalism or particularism? Uncertainty avoidance or certainty or uncertainty tolerance? Are you being neutral or affective? Are you taking a long-term or short-term perspective? Masculinity or femininity? These are all dimensions, the way you communicate, and this can be imparted by national cultures. All of these affect the communication style. Other people or researchers identify different personality indicators in communication. So there'll be extroverts or introverts. So within any team, you should be aware of that. Those who feel and those who think, perceptive or judgmental, sensing or intuitive. The style of communication could be visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. Which style would you adopt? Which would be most effective? How do you support your project team? Of course, this should involve supporting the entire project team. The ultimate responsibility for support lies with the project manager. The following would be of use to you. Good governance, which will require formal project organization, stating the responsibilities and meeting and report structures, the right set of team skills, and having good coaching and mentoring methods. How would you handle conflicts? We've talked about the first three. That's personality clashes, working styles, culture clashes. We've discussed them earlier already. The everyday tensions, professional disagreements, how are you going to handle them? So, to summarize, we need to realize that people are important factors in any project. They are key factors in team working. You need to look at the team selection, the team dynamics. And you've also got to consider cultural issues, organizational culture, and national cultures. Thank you.